Add this to this, would it be a good idea, for instance, if at the end of the day we solve the power problem and then we amend the laws saying, okay, states, you can produce powers for your states?
For instance, one of the biggest suboptimalities in our power system, if you listen to any of the governors and anybody who has studied this sector for even 15 to 30 minutes, you see that what happens, take Rivers State, which I'm familiar with the situation, they generate enough power for Rivers State, for all the industries and residents of Rivers State to have 24-hour electricity. But guess what? The current structure of our electricity sector does not allow them to distribute it to Rivers State people. So they put it into an inefficient national grid, which according to some data loses up to 40% of the electricity you put into it. It's just in the cost of transmission. And so you create that huge inefficiency. So one of the things, and I think that the people in power understand because of their background, what Professor Naji was doing, as we all know, before he became minister, was trying to exclude Aba from that inefficiency by putting a power plant in Aba that then generates power domesticated around Aba. Clearly, that's the kind of solutions. Those are the kind of solutions we need. We need governors to look at this industrial area and say, which Lagos has also attempted to do on the Lagos Island for its health institutions and some others. Look at this Agbara industrial estate and do a private IPP exclusively for those people, and let until we sort out the inefficiency in the national grid, decentralized power. And clearly, those are the things I think that we need to do. But I believe that those are the ideas that are currently being considered.
9 months, no record whatsoever of 2011 budget. I was supposed to have a 2012 budget. What are we going to predicate the 2012 budget on?
I imagine I sympathize with the current team. Nigeria has a syndrome which persists every time we have an electoral cycle. The budgeting exercise is a waste of time. First of all, the objective of every naira, most naira, many naira that are put into that budget is to create funding for elections and to create pensions, private pensions for policy office holders who may not return or whose period has expired. The thinking in the National Assembly, in the civil service, in the executive, about budgets around the electoral cycles is unfortunately suboptimal, to put it kindly. And then you have that time and distraction also. So from January maybe till June, elections were the priority. There was no focus on policy and governance. So I think the words and I sympathize very much with that. The words that I heard the finance minister use in relation to the 2011 budget was that it was a very difficult budget. I think she was trying to be diplomatic and not to offend people. I think it was a useless budget. And so that's
4.9 trillion.
Let's not cry over spilled milk.
Oh dear.
Let's hope
that's a lot of milk.
Let's hope that she said that there was a lot of money.
It's worth crying about.
Yeah, she said that there was a lot of money they found in the budget to which the projects they were allocated could not be traced. Meanwhile, there were projects that needed funding, and they're trying to restructure that budget and do environment so that you can reorganize the funding and all of that. But for me, let's hope that for the next 2012 to 23 budgets, at least 2010, 2011, 2012, 13 and 14, we can repair Nigeria. Hopefully we can begin to do the right things again. We can reorientate the structure of spending. We can reinstate value for money. I'm happy we've begun with increased transparency around the fiscal process, publishing the figures, let everybody have the figures. I hope that we can achieve a stronger shift towards capital spending than the minister suggested. I think those basic decisions, and then reform, complete the power sector roadmap implementation.
Mr. Agabaje, let's talk about the economy. Even the man on the street understands it now the way you just analyzed it. But it reminds us of what Mr. Shamsuddin Usman said, a couple of weeks ago about the quarterly report that he expects from ministries, departments and agencies. And if truly that kind of report will be coming out, what are we likely to see from such kinds of reports so that we can know? Because this talk about people going behind and telling them that we need an environment so that we can see if we can now redirect some of these to some other projects. How come that initially there were projects and monies were now allocated to them while some monies were allocated to non-existing projects? So with such kind of report we'll be getting, according to the Minister Shamsuddin Usman, do you think, well, such will just be history?
Well, again, what will any current report tell you? It will tell you about revenue projections. We thought we would get X dollars, we got Y dollars. Why? Because oil price was this and oil production was that. And so revenue projections met or surpassed expectation by this. This is how we've spent it. The money will always be spent. Salaries, all the recurrent spending will be made as usual. We would meet or exceed the recurrent projections, but then the capital projects in the budget will suffer because we have not had time to execute them, and sometimes also capacity to execute them. We just put them there to provide access to funds. Like I said, I would prefer to be forward-looking. Hope that from now we can again begin to do the right things. Many things have been said about the cabinet, but I like a core that I see in there, revolving around 4 or 5 people: finance, agriculture, trade and investments, national planning, and power. Let that core, unfortunately critically positioned, let that core transmit, and that core is also the core of the economic implementation sub-team. Forget about that National Economic Management Team, which I've described as a National Economic Consultative Forum of more than 30 people. But let's focus on those who are working, the few who would have to drive the process and ensure that what needs to happen happens. I think we have a core
that
we can challenge.